Morning, everybody. It is October 9th. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday, we had balance rules in effect. We could not go beneath the balance lows, so you return to balance highs. That's balance rules. Talked about that yesterday. All right. Had a nice futures day trade yesterday. 3R winner, 300%, whatever you want to call it. So that was nice. I'm going to be doing a video on that, why I took the trade. I mean, I pretty much had this scenario yesterday in my pre-market live stream. We can talk about that a little bit later. Yesterday, so what happened yesterday was the Qs broke out to the upside out of balance, and the ES did a little, but now it's chilling at last week's highs in futures. Now, the question is, do we get continuation higher today, or do we fall back to balance lows? That's the question, right? Because if we just stay in balance, we will go back to the balance lows. Okay. Now, Fed Powell set the talk. Now, I don't know if this is a live talk or a speech that's going to be sent out. I'm not really sure, but it's going to happen at 8:30, which is good because that's before the market. So the market's been trending a little to the downside, but who knows what he's going to say, right? He does have a tendency to move markets. So that's what's going on. We got other Fed speak today as well, but no really data that's going to come out. Let me just look real quick if there's some kind of bond auction or something. Let's see. 15-year mortgage rate, 30-year mortgage. That doesn't usually move markets. Oh, there's a 30-year bond auction at 1 p.m. So that could move the market a little bit at 1 p.m. Hopefully I'm not in anything at that time. But a 1 p.m. bond auction. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to get into this. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That is the way I devise a game plan. Now, once the market opens, I will check on my market internals and see what's under the hood, what the market's capable of. Okay, I also will use anchored VWAPs to tell me who's in control. I will execute with Bookmap like I did yesterday on that trade. And we use the weekly expected move indicator just to give us an idea of the ranges that is expected for this week in certain tickers. Okay, on certain tickers. Now, hopefully, you guys join me every day. Subscribe, set an alert. All right. Let me be your morning cup of coffee. Let me be your podcast. I'll give you the market news, what's going on, right? Economic calendar, leaders and laggards, all right? I'll give you technical analysis, and I will give you the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures, like I did yesterday, specifically for the ES. Okay, specifically for the ES was my trade because the NASDAQ was ripping, and I used that strength in the NASDAQ to pull up the ES yesterday. Okay. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, okay, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. All right. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. Sign up. What do you get there? You get a bunch of stuff. Okay, you get a bunch of stuff. Every morning I put my live stream in here, the links. After I'm done, I put bookmarks here for the scenarios, for the 1 hour charts. During the day, I give live market updates like I did yesterday. And yesterday, I took an earlier trade than I have been lately. I didn't even get a chance to say what I was looking at until I put this trade on right here. I was long here, 67, 71, 25s. Stop loss was here. 4-point stop, 12-point target. I hit my target. Now, in retrospect, I'm collecting data right now on those trades. And right now, I'm just going for 3-to-1 targets. I knew yesterday was a good chance we hit the previous day's highs, which we did. That would have been like a 7R, 8R trade. I knew that could be possible, was very possible. So I'm collecting data. That's what I'm doing right now. So basically, I'm giving you my options trades, stock trades. I give you trade recaps, which I'm going to do for this one. And I've been doing my weekly outlooks to see what I'm looking at. This particular right here, Costco long, is already working. I wanted a deeper sell, so we'll see. It's been really sold off, selling off, so I like longs in Costco. It looks like a good bet right now. Yeah, it went to 909. I had like a an alert there. Look at this. It's already at 929. I spotted it, but I was waiting for a deeper pullback. So you can't always time everything perfectly. Okay, and there's the weekly expected move indicator right here. I run that script in my Python script. I run it over the weekend, and I run it on Monday mornings, and I post it here for free. Okay, that gives you the weekly expected range for a bunch of important tickers. Okay, and 70% of the time we close within those ranges. Okay, pretty high probability. Okay, pretty high probability. All right. So now I think we're ready to look at the futures watch list here. And let's see if Powell says anything at 8:30. And let's see who's leading here. We got the VIX. Interesting. The VIX is up 1.29%. We're at a 16.51 VIX. The dollar is up 0.08. 30-year bonds are flat. ES is flat. Dow is flat. 10-year yield is flat. Wow. We all waiting for Powell? Nasdaq is flat. Russell's down 0.12. Bitcoin's down 0.24. Gold down 0.33. Crude down 0.34. Silver's down 0.51. Ethereum down 2.92. Okay. Now, who knows what Powell's going to say? We have to see. Let's go over to the Mag 7 Plus here. Who's leading the pack there? That's NVIDIA. NVIDIA is leading the pack. All right. It's up 1.88%, up to 192. AMD continues to rise. It's amazing. It's amazing, folks. Boy, that was like week, what was that, last year? Or the beginning of it? Yeah, last year. It was like the laggard. I'm like, come on, AMD. And I'm glad I loaded up on AMD. Okay. Now, Eli Lilly up 0.62 after a monster week last week. Let's see if we have any laggards here. We have Microsoft down 0.26, Apple down 0.38, Broadcom down 0.47, Coinbase down 0.66. And that Coinbase trade that I had on yesterday, last week, boy, that expanded. But again, you play the offense you have, right? With that spread I had on, this is what I thought would happen. Notice how we pushed up and we're kind of hanging around the 380s. That's why I originally put that trade on. All right, but it moved so quick on me that I had to react. Still made 100% on it, but this thing is probably it's probably worth $11 now. I paid like $3.30 for it. Tesla down 1.54. Tesla down 1.54. All right, move on to the top sectors. Look at that. Costco up 1.44. You look at a chart of Costco, it's just been really been sold. All right, I was waiting for a little move lower, and it's already bouncing. Right, you know, healthcare, and the bottom of the list, Palantir down 0.74. Let's go to a little granular list here. Whoa, Tilray. No, let's see. Did they have earnings today? Yes, they did. Tilray is like a weed stock. They're up 12.79%. They're only $1.72, so but that's a decent move. All right. Delta Airlines. It looks like airlines are catching a bid this morning. Not sure why. Delta Airlines up 6.88. American Airlines, or is that Alaska Airlines? I can't remember now. Up 5.17. United Airlines up 5.02. So airlines getting love this morning. Oklo up 2.90. JetBlue. So a lot of sympathy plays. Let's see. Southwest. Yeah, all airlines. And I'm not really sure that why yet. Let's look at laggards. Nothing really crazy here. Alibaba down 1.54. Supermicro down 1.33. ARM Semi down 1.06. All right, that's it. We'll move on now to sectors. Let's see who's moving markets this morning. Healthcare up 0.12, staples up 0.12, semis up 0.10. It's a very flat market. The only laggard is discretionary. That's your Tesla. That's your Tesla. Okay, that's your Tesla. All right, moving on to the economic calendar. So here's our calendar today. Fed Powell speaks at 8:30. Okay. Fed Bowman 8:35. Not sure. They must be in two different places. There's the 4-week auction, 8-week auction, 15-year mortgage, 30-year mortgage. Fed Bar speak WASDA. 30-year bond auction at 1 p.m. I don't know why that's not a 2-star, because I see a lot of times when that comes out, the market moves on it. Not a ton. Fed Bowman. Okay. Now this is like would normally come out initial jobless claims today, but the government is shut down, so we don't have that. Let's look at the juice now. See if there's any Trump stuff today. PepsiCo had earnings. They beat. They were up more before. Now they're kind of flat. Let's see here. Fed Pound. It's a pre-recorded speech. Interesting. At 8:30, a pre-recorded speech. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Bessent's going to talk at 8:45. I'm glad that's before the market open. 11 o'clock, Trump hosts cabinet meeting. 12:45, Fed Bar. All right. Trump gets Finnish president. I guess Finland's president at 3 o'clock. All right. That's all there. There's nothing really here to talk about. More news. Let's see if there's some stock news we can get into here. Yeah, here we go. We'll find out about the airlines here. Why all those are hot. PepsiCo. PepsiCo reported third quarter revenue profit that surpassed market expectations thanks to strong demand for healthier sodas and energy drink options in the United States. Shares of the company were hovering just around the flat line pre-market. Delta Airlines, here we go, said it had averted any significant damage from the shuttering of the U.S. government, even as worries have grown around a batch of flight delays after the furlough of some federal workers. Delta, which also posted all-time high operating revenue, there you go, buoyed by demand from premium customers, and lifted its annual outlook, surged by over 6% before the opening bell. There's airlines, and airlines was not doing good. You look at the Jets ETF, that was not doing very good. Now, Costco gained more than 1% after the members-only warehouse chain posted comparable sales growth that surpassed analyst expectations for September thanks to increased foot traffic and an uptick in the amount of money spent by shoppers. There you go. There you go. All right, let's look at some more news. We know about PepsiCo. We know about Delta Airlines. Let's see. Preview. U.S. banks to reap bigger profits as deals rebound in third quarter. The 6 largest U.S. banks are expected to report stronger than third quarter earnings next week. Shocker. Let's see. U.S. opens probe into nearly 2.9 million Tesla vehicles over FSD traffic violations. All right, interesting. That might be why Tesla's down today. Looks like, let's see here. The Nikkei hit a fresh high, led by the surge of SoftBank Group on optimism around AI-powered robotics, while Chinese stocks rallied to their highest levels in over a decade, driven by strong gains in semiconductor, gold, and AI-related shares as investors return from the Golden Week holiday. All right. Let's see if there's anything else here. All right, let's see. NVIDIA Corp. The United States has approved several $billion worth of NVIDIA chips exports to the United Arab Emirates. Bloomberg News reported on Wednesday. Okay. Alrighty. That's it, folks. That's it. I think we're going to move on from here. Let's go to some daily charts. And that Powell speech is going to drop in 3 minutes. While we go to our trusty old SPY, S&P 500. Alrighty. Nice balance area here. Right, I talked about it yesterday. Now we broke the balance area barely. Barely. That's what I said on the YouTube card in this stream, okay? Barely. Where are we at? 67, 673.20. 673.20. We're right at yesterday's highs. That's a bullish. That's obviously bullish. You're right there, but also we could fall back down. Okay? We could fall back down. All right? That's what we're looking at now. Balance area, but this is just a little test. Now you have to see if you get confirmation, continuation. Let's see. This could be a test, and then it fails, and then we go back to the other side of balance. Okay? Let's look at futures. Let's look at futures. Look at that balance, boy. And look at that doji waiting for Powell. That's a doji, folks. All right, moving on to Qs. Qs had a stronger day because tech led yesterday with semis. You can notice the bigger push out of this balance area. Okay, where are we now? 611.36, right at yesterday's close. Right at the close, waiting for Powell in about 30 seconds. Okay, that's where we're at there. Let's look at futures. You could just see bounce, 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 break out of balance. Let's see if you get continuation today. Okay, let's see if you get continuation. Don't know. Don't know if we will. About 10 seconds. About 10 seconds. You mean in the SPY, right? 677. Well, have you joined the Discord yet? So the expected move for the week for the SPY is $680.80. Okay, we're at 673. It's Thursday. Anything can happen. That's the expected move. Doesn't mean you get there. If I push this down, look, you'll see the green bar there. That's the indicator. Boop, right there. That's the indicator I have for free on my Discord. So we're not really close to that. Anything's possible. But that's the expected move if it was to go to the upside. Okay? And thank you for coming back. All right. Thank you for coming back. All right. It's 8:30. I don't hear any large orders hitting the tape, so I don't know how that speech is going to come out. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay. Let's look at market internals. Okay. Remember, that's how I judge when the market opens up how strong we are. Okay, it's a beautiful thing. It's my bread and butter. Okay, it's going to go to market internals recap. Okay. All right, so yesterday, right? Yesterday. Now I'll show you a better picture of this. This does represent it pretty good, right? So right here is all that really matters. Technology, which is 35% of the market cap in the S&P 500, was up 1.5% basically from the open yesterday. Okay, let me say it again. It's 35% of the market cap weight. Look, financials was red, discretionary was red, communications was red, healthcare was red, industrials was good, but doesn't matter, folks. If you understand how the S&P 500 works, if you understand how it works, we move by market cap weight. That's why this graph is here. It represents these by weights. And then it gives me a graphical representation of these sectors for how they're weighted. Okay? The white line is equal weight. That just means if none of the sectors were weighted, it shows me what the overall breadth is like. So you can see the white was declining at the end of the day, but the market cap stayed strong. That's because of tech and semis. Also, if you look at this, this is called vol D. Okay, it's the ratio. Okay, of this means it's green, so it means that there's more volume going into up stocks versus down stocks. So 2.25 to 1 in the Nasdaq exchange. Okay, that's pretty bullish. I mean, I've seen 13 to 1 positive and 13 to 1 negative, so but this is still a very bullish number. Now, it doesn't even matter, and if you know something about the ADD, the advanced decline, look at the S&P 500. Parity. That's how you know our market overall wasn't that strong because only 21 stocks were advancing, minus declining. So that's basically 250 stocks were up yesterday over the previous day's close. 250 stocks were down. That tells you right there. If you just went by that number, you're going to go, oh, the market's not even strong. It's like in the middle, but it doesn't matter. You need to know what the market cap weight is doing. And that was very strong. When we opened up, notice we had up and we kind of pushed down a couple times. This right here, I'll zoom it in. That's what the internals were doing off the open. This is not weak. This is not weak at all. And I got long, I believe, like right here in futures. I'll show you in a sec. I got long right around here. And then I hit my target. Based on the internals, based on it was based on the internals, it was based on the cues driving the markets, balance rules. Like I said, I'm going to go over this in a video that I'm going to make for you guys to be educational. Okay? All right. Let's look at the hourlies because I don't really hear nothing going on with the Powell stuff. Okay? Let me just check real quick if there's anything came out. I'm not seeing anything. Remember, it's a recorded speech. It just says, I see at 8:30, Fed Powell does not comment on monetary policy or economic outlook in welcoming remarks at Community Bank Conference. That's one news feed I just saw. You guys can see what I'm looking at here. All right, I'm going to go to another one here. Let's see. Oh, right here, you can read it. Fed welcoming remarks, read here. So far, this is a nothing burger. Okay. Now, let's go to the hourly charts. Remember what I talked about yesterday. Okay. Let me put this over here. We'll look at the hourly charts. Let me get my relative volume here today. Let's put that up there. We're looking at 100%. That's pretty good. A relative volume in the ES and 115% in the NASDAQ. All right. Always like to look at the relative volume. This is the hourly charts. And let me get to my trusty marker. Okay. So, remember the balance area I talked about. I'm going to have a video about this, but remember that balance area. Okay? Once you create this balance area, it becomes balance area lows, balance area highs, go back to balance area lows, and then we did this. Now, the most traded price of the week was here yesterday, and we were holding above it. I talked about this in the pre-market yesterday. Okay? Once we did that, I knew we were going to the balance highs. Look at this structure, how we moved yesterday. That got cleaned up pretty nicely. Okay? I talk about that a lot. All right? Look at the structure, how it moves straight down. Look at this structure back. Right? That's usually how the market works because we didn't really consolidate, move, consolidate, move. It just was move, move, move. And when you go back, you'll go back the same. And we went to the balance highs. Okay? And it's simple as this. Balance rules. Okay? Simple as this. And it makes total sense. When longs get long, right? They become sellers at balance highs. Right? Now, what do? When you go to balance lows? They become buyers. And new buyers step in to go back to the balance highs. Right? Then we go back to balance highs. sell off to balance lows. Sellers become buyers. Buyers step in, go back to balance highs. Okay, that's how balance rules work. It just makes sense. People take profits at the balance lows. Okay, same thing at the balance highs. All right. Now, whatever you want to call this, bear, a bull flag, whatever, pennant, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. We're accepting price above these balance highs. It's bullish. You can't say it's not. You can't say it's not. 67.90 is the most traded price of the week now. You want to hold above that. That's the most traded price of yesterday right here, about 6,800, psychological number. You want to hold above that. Because if we dip our toe back inside balance and break the 70, we're going back to the balance lows. Okay, that would be a look above and fail, and you generally go back to the other side of balance. Okay, so that's what we're looking at in the ES. NASDAQ, check that out. All right, now NASDAQ relatively stronger. Okay, relatively stronger. You could see yesterday these single prints that were in here got cleaned up. And again, the same thing. Look at the orderly selling. We matched it with the buying, right? And then we did a poof at the end. And now we pulled back and we're consolidating. Okay? And what do we know? Market only does two things. Balances, trends. Balances, trends. Balances, trend, or trend. Okay? That's all the market can do. So, we have a level here. 25197 happens to be last week's highs. Happens to be also the most traded price of yesterday. And the most traded price of the rolling week. Stay above that, bullish. I don't care if we come down here and we hit it and we do this. As long as we stay above that, it's bullish. Okay, now look. You have a bigger breakout move here. This is called the test, out of balance. Okay, this is the test. Now, if we hold here and we go up, that's a move higher. That's a breakout. That's a confirmation of a breakout. If we start to fall back into range, we will go back to the balance lows. Okay, let me get this anchored VWAP off. Okay. So there we go. That's your hourly charts, folks. All right, we can move on now. Let's do a little moving on here. We're going to go to that market profile and volume profile. And do some analysis here. All right, remember this is just Colarion. I'm not saying that right. If you're watching, this is all this is. It's pretty simple. These little colorful things are market profile. All it is 30-minute bars. If I break it out, that's all it is. 30-minute bars. All it is. It's nothing crazy. 30-minute bars. That's it. Okay. When you collapse it, it makes profile. All right. So, if we're going to look at the weekly composite volume profile, right? This has a little excess here in the overnights, right? But it has a bullish imbalance to it, okay? That is not a completed profile, okay? Everything in nature, everything that we do has equal distribution, okay? Equal distribution. So in profile, I know I'm saying this, but I gotta work on it. I'm gonna make a video educational about volume profiles and how they can predict markets. Okay, And it's really nice because it's easy on the eyes. So this is a bullish imbalance, right? A bell curve looks like this. That would be a completed auction. So this tells me we have room to the upside. Now remember, this is probabilities. It doesn't mean it has to happen. Okay? But that's what it looks like to me. The market wants higher. Do we get it? I don't know. Okay? Now, if we look at the overnight, very balanced. That's a very balanced profile. Okay? Very balanced. I don't have anything much to say other than it's balanced. It doesn't give us a lot of edge. All right, we were gapping up. Now we're in the mid of the session of the overnights, which happens to be yesterday's highs. So the market's just like dead at yesterday's highs. Okay? And we made an all-time high again in the overnights. It's generally not secure. And we have a little bit of a supply zone here. Okay? We have a little bit of a supply zone. Now, yesterday's move, we have single prints here. So it was an emotional buying, right? Emotional buying. And then we had a nice bullish balanced profile to it. Okay? Didn't get a tail yesterday. Maybe we get it today. All right? Now, some levels to note here. Okay, obviously yesterday's highs in this demand zone with the overnight lows. Okay? What I would say is we have another key level here as well. 67.90 we know is the most traded price of the rolling week. Right? It's value area low from yesterday. This to me is your last defense. Okay? 67.89, 67.90, write it down. That's the last defense in the ES futures. Okay? Value area low, and it's the most traded price of the rolling week. Now remember, we also have balanced rules. So, to me, this is my marker. Okay? This is my marker. Now, value area low, what does that mean? Or let's say value area. This is for market profile and volume profile. Now, for market profile, a value area is based on time. All right? 70%, you can call it 68.3%, but it's 70% of the trading. Okay? Volume profile takes the VPOC and says, give me 70% of this volume that's been traded today. So it's very powerful because it shows you the bulk of trading. That's where the most people were trading its value area. So this is the value area low of yesterday. So you can see just here the amount of volume that was transacted up at the highs as opposed to here, below value area, that's very skinny. So if you're buying a house, right, you want to buy at value area value area low. You want to sell your house at value area high. That's how you have to look at it. It's an auction at the end of the day. Okay? It's an auction. So that's our last line of defense. Underneath that is your 50% retracement of yesterday. 67.84 happens to have single prints right there. Okay? Now, I know Rosita, I'm not sure if she's here, but we talk about the elephant on the toothpick. Okay? Single prints represent one-way trading. They don't usually offer much support. So that is the toothpick. This is your elephant. Can a toothpick generally hold up an elephant? No. No, right? So this is poor foundation. Now, here's the other side of that. If this single prints and we dip our toe into these single prints and get bought, that's bullish. Okay? Cuts both ways. Okay, so we have our single prints with the week-to-day VWAP in there. We have more single prints down here from the open. But we know this area, let's call it, it's a pretty big area. This is like balance area lows down here with the month to date anchor view up right here. This is what we're dealing with, folks, today. Okay? So let's get into scenarios here. We're definitely going to start with the bull side because they're in control. All right. I'm not sure if I even put this up. I might have. But we'll get right into scenario. Oh, let me break out this profile because it's only 30-minute bars. Okay. This is what we're working with, folks. Now, let's see what we can do here. Let's get some scenarios going. All right. So remember, we're right at yesterday's highs, right? We're right at yesterday's close. So we need to get away from this area, right? So what could happen? A couple things. Most traded price of the overnight is also right here. So a couple things can happen. We can just push up, push up, come make new all-time highs, come back, test yesterday's highs, and then melt up and get the move higher, right? We get the confirmation, the trend, the continuation move, right? Now we know our last defense is the 6790s. So I wouldn't mind a quick move, and the market can't get that weak, down to the 6790s. And I know in here, in the top of the single prints, I'm going to be looking long if the market's not that weak. So if we come down, test, it could be perfect, retest, and then you can go to all-time highs. We can do a bear trap where it's real quick, touch into singles and go, oh boy, we're in single prints. And then all of a sudden gets bought, retest this, 6790s, you're going higher. That's all I'm looking for longs. I do not want a long below, holding down below the 6790s. Okay. Now, short side. Okay. Short side. We have all-time highs right now in an overnight session. Those are not secure. They usually don't put an all-time high in an overnight. Usually always a real-time trading hour thing. Okay. So, what can we do here? Well, let's just say the market does make all-time highs. But let's say we get a nasty wick, lower high, lower high. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. If sellers come in, I definitely think we're going to go to yesterday's highs in the VPOC of the overnights. Now, if we cut through the most traded price of yesterday, remember the bulk of volumes here, we're going to test 6790. That could be it. That could be the move. But we know this is a big level. If we take this out and we start to hold and retest it and the market's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, we're going to take out those single prints. Remember the elephant on the toothpick. Take out these single prints and we're going to go back to the balance lows. That's how balance rules work. Okay? Once we breach the 6790s, trust me, these longs will take profit. And then we'll just go to back to balance rules. Now, do we break balance? Because that would almost be a look above and fail. Then you double the balance range and we could really cook and go lower. Okay? That is your ES. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Not sure if Documents is watching. Amalio. I haven't seen Amalio. Not sure if Colerion Franklin is still with us. Rosita, I haven't heard from her today. Okay. Let's look at our NASDAQ. All right. Let's look at the NASDAQ's profile. Now, the NASDAQ's profile looks kind of balanced to me. Got some nice excess to the top. Look at that. That's a balanced profile. Now, that could tell me, for the time being, the auction's complete. Okay. Now, I've said this before on my streams, and a lot of times we get a pullback when this happens. Okay. Remember, tech is 35% of our market cap in the S&P 500. Okay. So, let's go into it. And let's look at what we got going in the NASDAQ. Now we have a balanced profile as well. Okay. Right. We're back into range. We have a more of a tail at the top in your NASDAQ. Right. And we have some supply. We do have an all-time high and an overnight right here. We have a supply zone. Okay. Price is right at the overnight VPOC. Okay. Now, notice in structure, NASDAQ is stronger. The most traded price is not underneath the overnight lows. It's not buy it. It's not buy it. Okay. Your breakout level was 25265s right here. That's where we broke out from this balance. Okay. So this demand zone encompasses the breakout point, overnight lows. Okay, overnight lows. And then we got to talk about our 252s. Let's just call it 252s to be easy. That is your most traded price of the week. Yesterday's most traded price, last week's highs. That is your defense for the NASDAQ. You don't want to see price below that. It's not going to be good. Okay, not going to be good. Now we have a bunch of demands down here, and we'll say this is like our balance lows down here. Bunch of demand. You have the anchored VWAP for the month here. Week to date anchored VWAP right there. Okay. So structure, the way the structure in the Nasdaq is just stronger. You're up more in the session. You broke out and made a move higher than the ES. Okay, that's just tech driving, right? Makes sense. The rest of the market wasn't exactly that bullish yesterday, but doesn't matter because 35% of the market cap is tech. Okay, where tech goes, the market goes, and then it just takes time to pull the rest. Okay, now let's pull it out. Let's break this out. Here we go. There we go. Okay, and we'll start talking about scenarios, and I'll get you guys out of here. Maybe I'm by myself, but even if I was by myself, I'd be doing this without a stream. All right, this is part of my process. I do it live every day. I don't do this and go, okay, this is what I'm going to say. Nope, nope, nope. I still don't even know what I'm going to say as I'm speaking right now. All right, now let's get into the bull case. All right, here we go. All right, what can we have here? Right? Well, there's a bunch of supply here. All right, so a couple things here. We could drop right down into this demand, which would be value area high from yesterday, right? The breakout levels here, the 25265s. Maybe we have to pull back in here, get bought up, push through this overnight VPOC. That should cause some buying, and then we can go make all-time highs. Okay, if we just straight up shoot up, maybe we get another pullback to go higher. I don't know. Okay, pretty much it, depending on how strong or weak tech is, pullbacks are viable anywhere above this level, right? If we're here and we slowly work down here, then the market means it's getting weak. Okay, so it depends on my internals what they're telling me if this is a buy or not. If the market is, oh boy, tech's down, probably not long in here. I'm going to look only up here. Okay. All right. So that's that. Let's move on to shorts. All right. Now we have supply up here. Okay. So what would I say here? Maybe we make a move up here, make those all-time highs, right? Get a wick, some lower highs, and then start making our move. As long as we take out the 25326s, which is the overnight VPOCs, this should cause the overnight lows to break. All right, then you have this demand zone, which I think is going to be a little problematic. It's value area from yesterday. Not going to be easy, but if we make our way, this could be a beautiful trade to the 252s. That could be it. You could bounce. Now, if we continue to fall and we break this level and start to hold and find acceptance and retest, that could be a short down to the balance lows around the 250s. Don't know what's going to happen today. Have no clue what is going to happen. But you have to be prepared. That would be a look above and fail, and you go back to the balance lows. Okay? Don't know what will happen. Okay? That's really what I'm looking at today. All right? Going to sit back, take it all in. All right? So, hopefully, you enjoyed that. Smash the like button if you did. Help my channel out. Now, remember, I promised you I'm going to be doing a video of my long yesterday. All right? Of my long yesterday. I will do an educational short. Only thing with shorts, man, you really got to pack that in a minute. And sometimes that's not easy. I do a good job at it. But maybe I'll do a long form one and cut up highlights from it for a short to come see the video. I'm not sure. I know if I did a longer form one, maybe it'd be about 10 minutes or something. I have the ability to play back bookmap. I have like to show you. I could answer, I don't know if I'd answer questions, but after I posted it, I can answer questions. I'm not sure what anybody would want. For me, the short's great, but a long form with more questions and more information would always better. Okay? Because trading has a lot of things that come into it for me. Okay? Alrighty. Now, hopefully, you keep enjoying my content. If you do, subscribe, set an alert. Let me give you the market story. Let me be your morning cup of coffee, water, tea. Let me be your podcast, as my friend Rosita says. Okay, every day I'll give you the market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards, why the market's doing what it's doing. Okay, generally I can usually classify every day. Like now, we just broke out of balance, right? So balance rules are in effect. If you don't know balance rules, you're kind of blind. Okay, so let me give you the technical analysis. Let me give you the long and short trade scenarios in ES and the NASDAQ futures like I just did. All right. Now, of course, if you want more in depth, you're like, hey, I like what this guy says. I want to know more. You're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. You don't have to trade like me. Let me be your indicator. I won't steer you wrong. I read the markets, folks. I generally can tell you what is going to happen. Now, there's two different things there. I'm generally always right in my analysis. Okay? But analysis doesn't pay. So that's the thing. I don't claim to be the best trader. The person who can execute a strategy to the fullest is the best trader. Okay, so let me be your indicator. Lots of times I'm writing down, hey, like yesterday in my Discord, I wrote, we are going higher from here. Don't stare at price action. Structure is king. When you're in balance, very rarely do you fail to go back to the other side of balance. It just doesn't, it's let gravity do its job, and it just usually always works like that. And it almost gives you a second where no, maybe it's not, and then eventually, oh yeah, we just did balance rules. Okay? So, that's it for me, folks. All right. Now everybody have a great day. If I don't see you in my Discord, I will see you tomorrow morning. Remember, no trade is a trade. Hope everybody has a green day, and take it easy.